We overcome racism, and then we deal with the worst of government. Goodness gracious, and here it is that we thought that we are a rainbow nation. We're better off. And yet, South Africans are so content with power cuts now, so content that they can literally concentrate during this stage 59 power cut crisis that we are in right now. And they can concentrate on the Queen's death or funeral thing being made a public holiday. Really, that's it? That's all you can focus on? Well, herein lies yet again the thing that I've been rapping on about. The death of the Queen is ushering in some nefarious leadership that we ought not, as a country that calls itself Christian, look upon with any kind of favor. We should be calling a fast to avert whatever is the looming darkness coming on us all as a global citizenship, because of the fact that King Charles is so antichrist that nobody is going to be able to come up for air. He is looking eerily like one of the 10 kings written off in the book of Revelation, and so we should rather make like Nineveh, repent that his power will not be given any oomph and impetus, that he will be just yet another monarch dwelling there in the United Kingdom that runs for another 50 years and then dies having not really done much to afflict our existence. But from the way that things look currently with Prince Charles I.E. now King, this dude is going to usher in something gangster alongside 9 other guys. He's one of the 10 kings. It's so obvious. Only listen to his COP26 little speech where he was basically speaking of the Antichrist, albeit not even knowing that that's what he's doing. And here it is that he was so besotted with the whole charade, the whole affair, the spectacle going on there in England with the Queen now having died. A funeral that is literally lasting much too long is going on right now, and South Africans, these randos all the way down here in Africa, seriously, at the very north end of Africa, north end, sorry, but southern end of Africa, you are so far away from Europe, and yet, I mean, goodness gracious, globalization ought not do that to you. You are trying to make that situation our holiday when ain't nothing holiday-like about the country. Don't nobody be leisurely right now. Nobody's in a hammock swinging in it. Nobody's in a bikini at the beach getting a tan. Everybody is in distress, and all you can think about is creating a holiday situation in the middle of somebody's death, whose death, frankly, should have been delayed 5 years, because that meant that her son would not become king. She should have lived to 100. She should have lived to 100. It would have given us 4 years of grace, 4 years of legroom. But now that her son is about to be king, ain't nobody got legroom. You're sitting next to a fat person in an airplane, squeezed in a little chair, and you can't complain because you dared book economy. Understand, you're in trouble. We're in trouble, except I'm not in trouble. I am the least to be pitied, but you of all people are most to be pitied, because you are the ones about to be hurled into some violent season of the human race that's going to neutralize, cull, massacre, butcher, bring down to a blistering end, wine press you down. Two-thirds of you guys, two-thirds. The wine press of the wrath of God's fury is about to be spurred against humanity, and literally the majority of you will die. The thing that Bill Gates and everybody are trying to do, that stuff going on at the Georgia Guidestones that were massacred. Yeah, 500 million trying to get down to that number. Don't nobody gonna prosper to depopulate the earth better than Jesus. He is going to literally cull two-thirds of you. And even with those two-thirds gone, it's not going to be 500 million. It's going to be a little bit above that. Then he's going to start again from scratch with people that were happy to acknowledge him as Lord. As Lord. And you pity me. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't even know if my mom knew when she left to go to wherever she was going that this would be a power cut that would last 4 hours or 5 or all day long. I don't know. But I am languishing. I am languishing in a way that I can't even describe. I'm languishing because my hands are tied. I'm just sitting here gathering dust. I'm just waiting for the return of power at a time when it will or will not come back. Whoa. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with myself. Not only are these power cuts taking away my working hours to bring forward this information, but they are also messing with the only device I have to create this work. And I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. There's so many people across the internet. If anything, just before the power got cut, I was listening to a brother online by the name of The Watchman. I keep on talking about him a lot because I really love his work. And he is not one to predict dates. He is not one to come forward and be September is it. And when he starts to speak like this, I'm when people that aren't steroidal on the rapture, kind of like a rapture cult, because there's like rapture cult people in this world. When relatively sober men and women suddenly start talking about how they think it might be September, I'm just like, it's worth the while to open your ears to them. I was just listening to The Watchman, and he was covering how it is that he thinks the rapture might happen this September, and then the power left. It got cut. There are so many other people saying this, and they say around September the 24th, 5th, 6th. I don't know why they say that, but really, for me, it's like there's never been a better, more wicked time for the rapture to happen than indeed this very month. Because of what's currently happening in my country. I am Christian. I'm born again. I'm redeemed. I am saved. And so I feel the sorrow. Do you understand? I feel it very deeply, but guess who's not feeling it very deeply? I used to be very, very, very confused about the tribulation. Not tribulation, but the return of Jesus. In the beginning of my faith, I was torn. I was not torn, confused. That's the right word. Just use confused. Be honest. Because I would read the scriptures where it is written that we will not all die, but we will be changed with the twinkling of an eye. And the dead in Christ will rise first, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up in the air to meet the Lord in the air and join our brethren that were dead, right? And then we're going to go. Yeah, that portion of scripture. And then Matthew 24 goes on to say, there will be wars and rumors of wars, signs and wonders, love of many growing cold, etc., all that, right? Days of Noah, where people are going on as normal, and then all of a sudden, calamity, right? Lot gets extracted, Noah gets extracted with his family, and then it is written of like the blood moon and stuff like that. How it just suddenly gets dark and whatnot. And in Matthew 24 as well, Christ says, do not be deceived when people tell you there's the Messiah, because the coming of the Son of Man is going to be ubiquitous, where everybody everywhere at the same time, wherever they might find themselves on the planet, is going to see it. So don't believe people who say there's the king on a mountain, there's the king at the Checkers, right? Cool. And I'll be like, oh, so that's the second coming of Jesus Christ, right? It is also written somewhere else in scripture that he's going to land on the Mount of on the Mount of Olives, right? At the second coming. And from there, Guzo Shuba, it's just going to get hard knock, neutralize, obliterate the Antichrist kingdom, and then stop the millennial reign. I was so confused between the catching up in the air and that landing on the Mount of Olives, because I could not for the life of me put the pieces of the puzzle together. But the thing that always stuck out of my brain was this. How in the world is the events, or R is the correct word there, in the book of Revelation as they unfold? I mean, they're extreme. Y'all can't deny that, right? All of those events in the book of Revelation as they're unfolding, with the whole 2/3 of the earth's population being withered away like grating cheese. How is that a normal environment at all? Like, at all. How is that a world that anybody is marrying in, being given in marriage in? How is that a world that anybody is shopping? How is that a world that anybody is busy, like, enjoying a future, or at least planning it in any kind of positive capacity? I do not see how the days of Revelation unfolding can ever be like the days of Noah. They aren't. They are. It would be the tantamount of living underwater, under the sea. In the day, like after the deluge happens, people still breathing with gills underwater. That would be how it would be if at all life was continued to be normal in the book of Revelation. It would be all these drowned souls nonetheless just living underwater, because now they've got gills. And so they're carrying on as normal under the sea. Except, of course, nobody can live through that. Human beings die when they drown. You know what I mean? It's like basic. So, the book of Revelation suggests that there is no life to live in the tribulation. There is no joy to be had, and there is no future to plan. There is no electricity or power cuts to complain against, because there's no government. It's anarchy all over the show. There are nukes that have gone off. Lands have been laid desolate. Everybody has got a family member that has died, if not multiple family members. It's just a time of deep sorrow. Ain't nobody trying to book a venue at Muldersdrift to plan a wedding. It's not normal. There is nothing normal about it at all. The events of Revelation are abnormal. They're anomalous. They're a horrible time such as has not been seen in the times in the history of the human race, no, nor ever shall there be a time like that. So upon going to the Lord and asking, oh my goodness, Matthew 24 parallels so much with all of Revelation that I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm getting schizophrenic. God, help me understand this thing. How in the world are we going to be getting caught up with you in the air, but also be coming back with you on horses? How in the world are we going to be caught up with you in the air and everybody sees it, but then immediately afterwards you're gonna get on the Mount of Olives, and so I guess we're gonna go up and then come down straight away? What's going on? Until I realized that these are two different events: the rapture and the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, where the rapture is the catching up. Is everybody going to see us get caught up in the sky to meet the Lord in the air? Highly unlikely. It's a spiritual affair. We're going to be getting inside spiritual bodies, physical bodies, incorruptible bodies, right? And people are probably not going to see this happen. All they will see is just the disappearance of Christians. If you're standing in front of one, it's over. Now, Matthew 24 says that two people will be in a field, one will be taken, one will be left behind. This is going to be happening. One will be taken, one will be left behind. Now, if two people are in the field, one getting taken and one getting left behind, they're doing normal life. I mean, who is in a field when the Antichrist is forcing a mark of the beast on everyone? Who is busy trying to plant beans when the Antichrist is like trying to take away 30% of their farmland? Who is lying in bed with their wives when they don't want to take the mark of the beast? There is nobody who will refuse to take the mark of the beast lying next to a person who has taken the mark of the beast that is going to be able to sleep all night long without having the popo called on them, like in the movie The Body Snatchers, where your wife has been turned into a zombie thing, and so she is the one that calls the authorities on you. If there is a person that takes the mark of the beast lying in bed with a person that doesn't take the mark of the beast, the person with the mark is going to call out their family member. Do you understand? So the likelihood of that person just getting taken and the other one being left behind is highly unlikely. In the tribulation, people are not even going to be able to sleep properly, likely not even in proper beds, unless you belong to the elite system of the Antichrist. So for me, it's like that must be the rapture. But it's in Matthew 24. And that's what's confusing me. Because Matthew 24 kind of clearly speaks of the return, where ubiquitously he's going to be seen all over the show. So who are these people lying in bed where one is taken and the other is left behind? Who are they? Are they the raptured church? Or are they those who have survived up until the end of the tribulation? And one of them chose Jesus, the other didn't, but they didn't take the mark of the beast. It's clearly two different events. What's obvious is that there will not be a normal life, though, when the second return of Jesus Christ happens. Because it's going to be burning fields everywhere. It's going to be disaster zone everywhere. Nobody is going to be successfully planning to book a venue, like I said, at Mulder's Drift to do a wedding. People are going to be running away, and only a few are going to be ensconced by the Antichrist system, but much to their peril. Do you understand? Everybody else that doesn't want to take the mark of the beast is going to be in a concentration camp or on the run, in flight, fleeing to the mountains of Judea type setup thing. When people or kings are saying, rocks fall on us, hide us from the one seated on the throne, how's that even a normal life? Those are like Cyril Ramaphosa's. Those are like, who's this guy? King Charles. He's among the people that are going to be like, rocks fall on me. Because apparently the kings and princes of this world, alongside the regular Jane and Joe in the street, are going to be saying that. Things are going to be that bad. There is no normalness. So, given that there is no normalness, what better time for normalness than now, where you can hear a bird chirping outside? Earlier, I went outside and I was looking at the trees, and I was like, but everything is so tranquil, it's so peaceful. Look at those trees blowing, my goodness, how much glory is there in creation? It can't be the end. And the Lord was like, I told you that it is precisely that kind of observable peace that is going to be reigning in the earth before I rapture y'all. Do not be deceived by music playing in the background from a person who has opened their car outside of your window to play music, and laughter and chatter of children and blowing wind and trees and birds chirping. Do not look at that. Do not go to the mall and see people walking up and down, pushing their babies and pulleys, and sitting in restaurants and eating food at the food court. Do not look at stuff like that and be like, but it can't be over. I also keep on seeing people dancing on TikTok, all these videos you find, the numerous ones of that on social media, and I'm like, but it can't be over. Look how they're singing, they're so happy. And God is like, but are you? Are you not in an individual calamity alone? Are you not living apart from this world in some kind of a vortex that is twisting, Karabo, alone? That is how my children are experiencing the earth. They are in a vortex that's twisting while everybody else is la-di-da. The reason why everybody gets caught off guard by this grand deception is because it doesn't look bad. It is only bad for those who are pitied. Christians, they strangely pity us. For those who are experiencing hardships, it's unique to them, and there is enough care for the sorrow of that situation to pity them, but not enough to do anything about it. It's just the abandonment phenomenon, the rich man and Lazarus phenomenon, where an individual that is poverty stricken, you pity them enough to let them eat like scraps from their table, from your table as a king, but not enough to, since you are a king, rich man, since you have got all this money, you can afford to give this guy a job that he might buy himself a little hut, you know, that he might buy himself some groceries every month and eat, you know. You have got enough enablement in you as a man to, you know, transfer literally just 1% of your wealth to a person that they might not have to grovel at your table on the floor eating breadcrumbs that you have dropped from your table. We are literally at a time in the history of the human race where the conglomerate of souls that don't know Jesus are like the rich man, and Christians are like Lazarus. They feel not just Christians, but the poverty-stricken of this world, the suffering, the damaged of this world. They are being looked at by the wealthier or the haves as a shame. It's so sad. And so they throw 2 rand at them when they can get off their chest 2,000 rands. They have the capacity, the ability to help out more broadly, but they just won't. And their 2 cents worth they feel is sufficient. Those scraps that are making sure that Lazarus does not die from malnutrition but gets just enough bread for the day. Not enough for him to gain weight, just enough for his body to not auto-cannibalize. And that's how I'm being treated by my ecosystem. The world around me is very rich manny, while I'm Lazaric. The world is rich manic, I'm Lazaric. I anticipate there are a growing number of Christians that are Lazarian, while the world around them is rich manic. And that is what makes our existence anomalous and very sorrowful, sad, poignant, while everybody else's existence is exactly like that of the days of Noah. They are able to function strangely normally in a world that is obviously falling apart now. I know that not every believer in the Lord Jesus Christ is persecuted, but one thing I am certain of is that every believer in the Lord Jesus Christ is alert, awake, and aware of the fact that the world is eerily strange and it's getting worse, while everybody is eerily disinterested in getting that corrected. There is literally cups and saucers are flying all over the show across the world, and people want to be normal. They want to return to a normal life, or they are doing everything in their part of patchwork. It's like they're putting the earth together with sticky tape. That's what everybody is doing. They are hopeful that this is going to be better. They have got these feelings in their hearts that it really sucks, but it would be really great if it didn't suck. And so out of the desire to fulfill that prophecy, they then walk around like it's actually normal when it's yet to be normal. Like one of those, I will manifest a better existence. One of those, I will manifest, you know how that false doctrine of manifestation where they're like, I'm going to manifest a better president. I'm going to manifest a better power cut situation. I am going to manifest a better family situation. I'm going to manifest a better boss. Like, no, only God can speak things into existence ex nihilo, not human beings. All of y'all who are trying to manifest stuff, stop. It's the law of attraction, like cease and desist. It's esoteric, it's ritualistic and occultic, but you know, people are still doing that. Like the world of human beings, not that they don't observe what's going on, they are just kind of hoping that insofar as they can just wish it away, it'll go away. And so they are walking in the fullness of promise before it's yet to come. They are walking in the fullness of what they hope is going to be, in the hope yet that it's going to paint the rest of their environment with the hope they have. They want to infect or cure their ecosystem with their optimism. Right, that's the word. They hope to cure their ecosystem with their optimism. And a lot of people are looking at things that way. It's unfortunate when literally the current events on the earth at present are frankly unprecedented. Nothing of this scale or nature has ever happened before. So I'm sorry, you and your manifestation powers. How about you just wake up? You're kind of sleepy. Right now, you are lethargic. At the present moment, you're sedentary. You're snoring. Literally, there are Z's coming out of you if you were an emoji. Multiple ones at that coming off your head. You are in slumber. Get out of it. Arise from the dead and Christ will shine on you. But when are people going to shine or have the light of Christ shine on them? When they are in a severe amount of groupthink. Because this whole I'm going to manifest a better life by acting like there's nothing wrong is not just one little random guy that we can rightly successfully write off as struggling with some kind of neurosis, so put him in a stray suit. No, it's entire teams of people, entire groups, entire villages and neighborhoods, entire families where one person is like, hello, no, it's not good, it's never going to get better. How about you snap out of it? I've been trying to snap my family members out of this nonsense for I don't know how long, and they're just like, kind of robotic groupthink. There is no more severe a disease that can wipe out an entire section of a globe, a whole country, maybe even the whole human race than groupthink. For people to try and fulfill a prophecy purely because they hope it's true. Hope that it's not over. Hope that South Africa is going to somehow come around out of 5-hour power cuts. Hope that South Africa is somehow going to overcome every last president we have being corrupt and a scandal coming out about them. That somehow, if we can just kind of hope that this time around they'll do better, they will. When has that ever done anything? It's called magic and it doesn't always work, okay? So if you can't then ex nihilo breathe into existence life, since only Christ does that, it appears then what you're doing is a body that is dead walking around like a zombie. You've basically started to putrefy. Rigor mortis is about you, and yet you are in denial. And being as in denial as you are scary, you're freaky, you're walking around as a dead cadaver, hoping to get taken seriously by people who live. I'm scared. I'm freaking out because I'm living in a plane full of zombies and they don't even see the rotting skin coming off their cheeks because they hope they're not rotting and they hope the environment around them does not smell of putrefaction. They just hope that nothing is decomposing when it is so clear to me that there's nothing but a wasteland packed with cadavers on which I have to keep on ducking like landmines just to get to my destination where I'm going. I feel like Resident Evil, who's this Alice? Mila Jovovich in the Resident Evil. I'm literally coming out into a desolate wasteland and everybody does not quite see that that's what's going on. They've got a gauze, a veil on their eyes. Literally, the best movie to describe grand sharp what's going on is The Matrix, where there are a whole bunch of people walking around la-di-da content and only a few that have been extracted from the Matrix see how desolate the earth actually is. The Lord is not intending for Christians to live in some squalid state of comprehending their environment indefinitely. It is rough to see your country waxing worse with no avenue of escape. As one who recognizes that there will not be an avenue of escape because precisely because no one sees there's anything wrong. Everybody is acting like this is fixable when it clearly isn't. There is no solution when you don't think there is a problem. And the world around us are hoping there is no problem. It's not that they don't see there's something wrong. They just hope it's not that bad. They're optimistic to their own peril. Not every Christian is persecuted like I said above, but every Christian certainly has understanding that there is a cavalier, la-di-da, chill about me constitution that's much too relaxed about everyone that does not similarly dwell in us. We cannot foresee a feasible future for children, our kids. We cannot foresee a feasible future for us. The wickedness of man is getting so increasingly intense that we can't even foster long-lasting relationships with people of the world without getting betrayed harshly, very quickly. Christians do not only have people in their lives that are Christian. The level of betrayal and the level of bus under it throwing by people of the world and how casual they are in so doing. I mean, my whole future has been destroyed by friends and family, and they did it so casually. It was unwarranted, it was gratuitous, and on top of that, it happened to a person that was actively in service of them in some way. And they did it casually and then squandered all of my 30s. And left me to die. And now I'm sitting out a 4-hour power cut. I don't know how long it's going to be. By myself. With nothing to do. I'm anxious. And I don't want to live in my thoughts. It's like sitting in vomit. I don't want to inhale them. They're toxic. I am dying. Do you understand? And all they can do is go to the mall and enjoy their lives. This is extreme. How my whole country did this to me. And we are experiencing that as a collective of believers. Since the world is made up of a majority of people who don't know Jesus, we can successfully trust that our children are going to go to schools where they're going to get this done to them. Even if it's Christian schools, we can expect our lives to be hard even if we are trying to foster peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God. Everywhere we go, we try to make life a little easier for everything, and nobody cares about that act of altruism, grace. No one cares. It's just every man for himself in the worst way, and that level of moral turpitude is strangely not caught as a stench by the very people who walk in it. They cannot smell their BO. They cannot smell their body odor, but we can. Now that makes us Christians sound classist or elitist or separatist or whatever, but we are recognizing the dirt of the world in a way that is very glaring and warnful. We are trying to warn them, but they don't want to hear it. Whatever it is that we're selling, they're not buying it. And so if that's how they are thinking, what hope is there for us? What future ought we then look forward to? I don't know how long this podcast is going to last. And you know what, guys, I'm panicking because the level of depression in me, the melancholy, just the extremity of sorrow during podcasts is so poignant that they cannot last for too long. Because nothing but death hovers around me in the middle of them. I've got nothing to do in the middle of them. I'm stranded. The best aid for my person would be a laptop, because at least I can work through the power cut without interruption. But now I'm just listless to a point where tears just fall down my face. And it's been 3 hours now, and I don't know when it's gonna end. If it lasts all day, we're screwed. I'm screwed. We don't know. We don't get warnings. We don't get told what's happening. And all South Africans can think about is the Queen's funeral date being made into a public holiday, because they're able to ride out a power cut at the mall and watch a movie. These are the days of Noah. People are planning weddings. They're marrying, being given in marriage. They're eating, they're drinking, they're visiting the mall, they're having dinner. But those who are not caught unawares are languishing, just like Noah, just like Lot, just like Karabo, perhaps just like you. It's literally too taxing. This is life before the rapture. What the scriptures were describing with the days of Noah was the time of Christ before the rapture. I believe the second coming, Matthew 24, likely represents both the rapture and the second coming. The 7-year period, that is the tribulation, is described in Matthew 24, but the rapture is also described in Matthew 24 alongside the second coming of Jesus. I believe Matthew 24 speaks of all of those events, that Christ is gonna take one and leave one behind in the rapture. Then there's gonna be a 7-year tribulation, and then there's going to be the second coming of Christ. Because in the rapture we go up to heaven and we stay there for a season, but with the second coming we come back as warriors to fight the Antichrist regime when we return with Christ, and to establish righteous reign for 1,000 years. First we leave, stay for 7 years, then we come back down. We don't come back down straight away. The rapture, no one sees it but us. The second coming, everyone sees it. And then he lands on the Mount of Olives and starts to do cleanup. I am not one to predict rapture dates, and I still am not, because no one knows the day or the hour. But there are enough Christians speaking about this month, September the 26th. I don't know. I'm very careful about stuff like that because it's very disheartening when it doesn't happen. There's also many people that are busy saying the Lord showed me this about 2013. So, not 2023. So I really don't know what's going to happen. But the harshness of my life perhaps has made me sort of kind of on an outlier on the normal distribution. My life conditions have made my viewpoint of the world kind of ominous, dark, sad, dystopian. Maybe it's just me. In which case I'm looking at Christ on some, why are you letting me endure the tribulation by myself? Or maybe it's ubiquitous. Maybe it's all over. The level of wickedness I have experienced in the past 8 years from my country and from what I've seen also across the world is unprecedented. And I don't see a future, guys. I don't see a future here. Y'all need to understand, I don't see a future. What kind of a future can I have, or any one of us have, where people will have gotten away with robbing 10 years out of our lives, taking away our husbands, our children, making it impossible for us to live freely? This would first require some kind of a revolution on a global scale before there can be any semblance of a normal life. Historically, revolutions have happened in just countries, just cities, just villages. They've never happened across the world. So if there's going to be a revolution across the world where people want change, understand it's going to bring about a changed leader. And there is only one leader that is brought about by the world complaining, the world of wicked people, all of them. There's only one leader that is promised them according to the scriptures. His name is the Antichrist. So the change we desire, we're not going to get it, not on this side of Christ's return. All you're going to get is your Antichrist, because there's going to be a global French Revolution. There's going to be a global overturning, basically, of wicked regimes that you imagine must be replaced by something better. It's called the Antichrist system. It's never been ubiquitous until now. It's never been generalistic across the world until now. And so if all of the world is rioting in civil war, then you're going to get a world leader. Not just one guy that replaces Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI. We don't want that guy. And if that's the only guy that's going to rise up in the coming years, I guess Christ is going to free us from his tyranny until we finally get our guy. Until we get our guy. The guy that we have been saying change things, and please don't let them take away the youth of our children. Don't let them take away the schooling of our kids. Don't let them take away the pregnancy of our women. Do not let them take away the marriages between our men and women. Do not let them take away the godly leadership from our men. Do not let them take away feasible lifestyles that we chose because we chose Jesus. But they're taking them away anyway. I wanted a godly life, godly kids, godly husband, godly businesses, godly. I have nothing, and I'm almost 40. I'm 38. My whole life legacy has been crashed to the ground by people refusing that I should live a righteous life in Christ as a living epistle before all, to show them that Christ is Lord. I wanted a godly life to be an example, and they're like, not on my watch. As a result, they have squandered all my 30s. When will I ever get my king back? When am I going to get the kind of leader that I want? When am I going to get a South Africa that's habitable for a person that wants to be godly? When am I going to get a South Africa that is not corrupt at the CCMA, corrupt in corporate South Africa, a South Africa where police don't easily get bribed, where you can open a case at the police station and successfully be heard without lazy, lethargic cops wanting to do nothing but sign your affidavits and stamp your like random certifications and what have you. That's all they do. When am I ever going to get to South Africa where drunken drivers are let go by Metro Police because they got bribed? When am I ever going to live in a South Africa where kids are not constantly being kidnapped by child molesters? When am I ever going to live in a South Africa that does not have such high levels of femicide, where women cannot trust boyfriends they date lest they should end up on the receiving end of their barrels? When am I ever going to end up living in a country that does not have all of these things that make it impossible for a righteous person to successfully thrive? It's not about to happen any minute now. Women are still dying at the hands of men. Women are still fornicating all over the show in very harlotous ways that are unprecedented for Africa, especially for Africa. There is so much harlotry around, it's not even funny. There are so many orgies, so many changes of boyfriends. There's just so much wickedness around. It has never been seen before, and a person like me is basically, I'm out of fashion. I'm like a worn out garment, according to South Africa. I need to go back to the 20s where I come from, according to them. I need to go back to the 18th century. I need to go back to the 16th century, according to my nation. I am something that is archaic and has got these mindsets that frankly have no place in modern society. When am I ever going to get to live safely in my country with that kind of mindset reigning, unless there is a revolution and a change of thought? When am I ever going to bring about that reformation all by myself, or with just 5 other Christians that are struggling similarly to also come up for air? When? It's over, guys. The moral turpitude of the human race has reached like hyperbolic levels. Do you understand? Like increase in lawlessness, love of many, grown cold. Men are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, always learning, never coming to a knowledge of truth. Janus and Jambres able to worm their way into the lives of weak-willed women. 2 Timothy 3, like, we're there. And this is not something that can be reversed anymore, because the gangrene has spread too far for an amputation to be sufficient. What this is a requirement for a new leadership or a new kingdom altogether. Jesus must return. But Jesus cannot return before he decimates 2/3 of the earth, because literally the great majority or chunk of it is rotten. I want my king. And since we can't have both my king and your king living on the same earth, I'm going to have to kind of wait 7 years for my king to come, but not before your king gets new neutralized alongside 2/3 of the human race, including perhaps even you. I want my king, and my king has promised me I'm eventually going to inherit the earth. I want that earth where I can live and raise kids in a way that is not going to cause me to freak out that they're going to get killed by some shooter in a school or sworded by some kid that literally listened to too much heavy metal, went to school and decided to go. There's like a kid in this country called the sword killer that killed a student with a sword at school some years ago. I don't want to be worried that I might be a mourning mother because my kid got killed. Or, despite being a really pious, godly, consecrated parent, have my kid one day tell me, sorry mom, but I subscribe to LGBTQIA2SL hashtag squiggly figure alongside PQRS and on top of that Z because the acronym has grown by that much by the time my child gets to the age of 16. I don't want to find myself as a Christian parent dealing with a kid headed for hell because they've been influenced negatively by the earth. I am scared out of my mind that the fruit of my womb is one day going to come out as gay or something. I proper am scared that my kid will be influenced in that way. I'm scared. Christian, guys, you know, the PK phenomenon, pastor's kid. Like whenever kids are born into a family that is very super pious, when mom and dad are like very preachy, very gospel servanty, a lot of times the kids become some of the most harlotrous kids in the school. The girl becomes the whore in the school. Not all the time, but it sometimes happens. Precisely because they're rebelling against the godliness of their parents. The thing that influences them that way is just an irritation and agitation about how strict the rules are in their home where they come from versus how loosely other kids are living. And so peer pressure and groupthink has a field day with your child, and so they go to the very extreme and the devil indeed targets them. And so you find yourself as the grandmother of a child that literally belongs to a 16-year-old daughter because your kid decided to go and fall pregnant as a teenager, but you're a pastor's kid. Like, your mom is a preacher's wife and your daddy a preacher, and you'll be pregnant at 16. Like, these are the things that happen in a fallen world that keeps on getting worse. Am I pessimistic? Well, it's healthy to be pessimistic in a climate of people that are dangerously optimistic, given that there's nothing to look forward to. I cannot believe this. I'm languishing, you know that. I'm languishing so desperately, but I need to stop recording at some point. The power's not back. I'm freaking out that it's not going to come back all day. I'm freaking out. But this is South Africa. And I have a feeling it's not just South Africa, but it's Pakistan, it's Sri Lanka, it's India, it's North Korea, especially North Korea. It's South Korea, whether or not they're in denial. It's the United States of America. It's South America. It is all of Africa, it's all of Europe, it's Australia, all of it, and there is no future here that is feasible to anticipate. No matter how much people might want to think of me as crazy or as Christians, or to think as Christians as crazy, it is irresponsible of them to think that way, but also very irrelevant, because whether or not you believe prophecy is irrelevant. To disbelieve prophecy is not the tantamount of nullifying it. Bottom line is, we're going home, and when we get home, all those things that you do in saying that we're crazy because we observe rightly as we ought the world around us that is falling apart at the seams, you will finally regret ever thinking that we are insane. How in the world, a falling apart world like this around you does not get comprehended as a dangerous and ominous place to trust you're going to continue to live in another 20 years is beyond me. The level of naivety of even all these random like global warming / climate change activists all over the show. When has the human race ever been able to fix the earth? When? It's literally never happened. Global warming or climate change, whatever, is an earth issue, and you can't even fix your own household. And yes, you think, and yet you think. You can't create your own households, you can't create your schools or your governments. You literally cannot do right in your very immediate environment, and yet you think you can save the planet. All the best. What you need is Hulk and Spider-Man. You need some kind of a makeshift Marvel DC comic superhero to come and rescue you because you're literally that naive. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Crank K. Bye.